there was a couple of people who left comments on one of my recent videos about this Sergey Kovalev Anthony Yarde fight. And they said that I'm already making excuses in case Anthony Yarde wins by saying that Sergey Kovalev has got problems outside the ring, saying that he's got these alleged drinking issues, saying that he might not be in the right place mentally because of recent incidents that have taken place in Sergey Kovalev's personal life and this court case hanging over his head, etc. Well, no, I'm not making any excuses. I don't need to make excuses. One, because I haven't made a prediction for the fight. Two, because I've never said that Anthony Yarde is not a good fighter. I've never said that Anthony Yarde is not the real deal. I've never even said that Tunde Ajayi is a bad trainer. I've just said that Tunde Ajayi is not a good PR guy and that Anthony Yarde is a precocious talent, but he's an enigma to me in terms of whether he's the real deal or not. I don't know. So I've got nothing to make an excuse for because I haven't made any prediction. And when it comes to these issues that Sergey Kovalev is apparently having, well, forget about what I've said. Listen to what Tunde Ajayi has said. Yeah, never mind about, oh, Hatman's preparing excuses. Well, what about what Tunde said? Because Tunde, out of his own mouth over the past year, has said that Frank Warren told him privately that Sergey Kovalev is there for the taking, that Sergey Kovalev doesn't live the life outside the ring, that Sergey Kovalev likes a drink. These are all things that Tunde has said, not me. Tunde said that Frank Warren told him this a long time ago. The insinuation was, Tunde, you need to put Anthony Yarde in with Kovalev now because he's there for the taking. And after Kovalev lost to Alvarez, they did interviews with Tunde, and Tunde was like, Frankie Blue Eyes was right. He told me that Kovalev was there for the taking, and he was right, and I trust Frank's judgment. So Tunde's been talking about Kovalev being on the slide. Tunde's been talking about Kovalev having issues outside the ring, liking a drink and all that kind of stuff. He's been talking about that. But yet, when I talk about it, I'm making excuses in case Yarde wins. How does that work, people? How does that work? Tunde's also said, they're trying to catch us when we're green, and we're trying to catch them when they're grey. Do you know what that means? They're trying to catch us when we're not ready. We're trying to catch them when they're on the slide. Tunde said that many times. Yeah, that particular phrase. They're trying to catch us when we're green. We're trying to catch them when they're grey. And he keeps saying everything is timing. He turned down fights against Beterbiev and Kovalev for Anthony Yarde before. But now he's accepted the fight. Yeah, everything is timing. So again, I'm not saying anything, or not much, that Tunde hasn't said himself by way of Kovalev having issues outside the ring and all this kind of business. So if he's allowed to mention it as Anthony's trainer, why can't I mention it? So that there is no excuses, people. It's just me talking about the reality of the situation. And in actual fact, I don't think Kovalev is on the slide, at least not judging by his last performance against Alvarez, because I thought that was a tremendous performance. In fact, that was the most impressed I've been with Kovalev from a boxing and technical point of view and fitness point of view in his whole career. I thought it was a marvelous performance against Alvarez in the rematch. There may be some questions asked about how he could have pulled off this kind of performance with that kind of stamina and work rate at his age, given the fact that he's shown stamina issues for a long time prior to that. Questions could be asked about that. That's understandable. And there's no telling whether he'll be in the same kind of mind frame going into this fight against Yarde that he was in when he went into the rematch with Alvarez. I mean, who knows? I don't know everything that goes on in Kovalev's life, but to totally discount these stories that you're hearing about Kovalev, having rows with passengers on the plane and getting kicked off, and you know what I mean? To completely ignore that and act as though it's impossible for this to have any bearing on his performance in the ring, well, that's absurd. Of course you have to look at that and imagine that this could possibly be indicative of him not being in the correct mind state. Yeah, that's just realistic. That's not trying to make excuses. Boxing is a sport where you have to be completely focused on what you're doing to get the best out of yourself. If you've got all kind of distractions outside the ring, it can affect your performance. Not every time, fighters are different. Some fighters can have absolute chaos going on in their personal lives, and when they get in the ring, they still perform 100%. But a lot of other fighters, including top fighters, when things ain't going quite right in their personal life in camp, they can't produce 100% in the ring. So I'm just talking about the realities of boxing. I ain't making no excuses. And once again, these are all things that Tunde Ajayi himself has spoken about with regards to Sergey Kovalev. So please, people, stop it. All right, I ain't no Anthony Yarde hater. Go back and look at my early videos on Anthony Yarde. I was saying this guy's a precocious talent. My only issue with Team Yarde has been the nonsense that comes out of Tunde Ajayi's mouth by way of PR. Talks a lot of nonsense on the PR front. As a trainer, I've said many times that Tunde Ajayi, in my opinion, is actually a very good trainer. I don't know whether he's a great trainer. The proof is in the pudding, and we're going to find out a lot when or if Anthony Yarde steps in the ring with Sergey Kovalev. And I say if because I don't know what's going on with Team Kovalev. They haven't even had a press conference yet for this fight. I hope it goes ahead. For Anthony Yarde's sake, Tunde Ajayi don't make a lot of money. All right. But when it comes to Kovalev, I don't know. I just find it weird that there's no press conference and we're about 2 weeks away or something. So, Anthony Yarde has got it all to prove. And I've also never doubted let me not say never doubted, but I've never heavily criticized Tunde Ajayi as a manager either. I said, okay, he's moving Anthony Yarde very slowly, and it's an unconventional route that he's going. It doesn't mean it's not going to work, but it's very unconventional, and it raises a lot of eyebrows because normally Frank Warren fighters are brought up the traditional way, British, Commonwealth, European. Frank Warren is actually very good at building fighters. Not in terms of building their profile, at least not in the modern context, but in terms of building their boxing ability by picking the right fights at the right time and what have you. Frank Warren's always been very good at that. But the fact that he hasn't gone that route with Anthony Yarde, and I know Frank Warren only promotes Yarde, he doesn't manage him. Tunde manages him, but he does have some input in terms of the fights that Anthony goes in. The fact that Anthony hasn't gone the traditional route is an eyebrow raiser. And then to jump from fighting what's the guy called, Travis Reeve, to fighting Kovalev overnight, that's an even bigger eyebrow raiser. Okay, because they're doing bold stuff, unusual stuff. It could turn out to be a masterstroke by Tunde Ajayi and Frank Warren if Yarde goes over there and does the business. He might do I don't know, right? It's intriguing to me because all along I've just wanted to find out whether Anthony Yarde can actually fight. That's why it's been a little tedious. That's why I came up with the phrase, wake me up when we get there, with regards to Anthony Yarde's career, because they kept putting him in there with all these cab drivers and moving him very slow. And I was like, okay, cool. You want to use the Mexican method of building a fighter up, particularly a guy who hasn't had a lot of amateur fights. Cool, you do that. You build him up the very, very slow way. Wake me up when we get there. When you put him in with somebody that has a pulse, I'll start paying attention again. But I didn't expect them to jump from the Travis Reeves level to the Kovalev level overnight. It's not normally done that way. It might be a master stroke or it might be a disaster stroke. We'll find out, I guess, as long as the fight takes place in a couple weeks' time on August 24th. So, yeah, that's my take on Anthony Yarde versus Sergey Kovalev. I don't have to prepare any excuses, people, because I haven't made any predictions. I haven't said that he's going to go in there and get smashed to pieces. Go back and watch all of my videos on Anthony Yarde Kovalev. Never said that. Never said that he's not the real deal. Never said that he's a hype job. It's as if people are projecting things upon me which I've never said in any of my videos about the young man. My criticism has mainly been leveled at the PR and the nonsense that Tunde Ajayi talks. He talks a lot of nonsense, that guy. Doesn't mean he's not a good trainer. Doesn't necessarily mean he's not a good manager. But when it comes to the PR, yeah, he's been pretty horrible. Particularly during that whole Jose Burton, Joshua Buatsi, the domestic rivalry era. He didn't do Team Yarde any favors with the kind of nonsense he was coming out with, But as far as his ability as a manager and as a trainer, we'll see. We'll see whether he's the real deal. And if Yarde pulls it off, of course, you got to give Yarde a tremendous amount of credit going over there to Russia, fighting in the Lions Den. Even if Kovalev isn't 100%, even if these outside factors do affect his performance, you still have to give a massive amount of credit to Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajayi. Yeah, I mean, particularly Tunde Ajayi, because he knows his fighter and he keeps on saying everything is timing. Maybe he's a master of timing, like sensei level timing, him and Frank Warren, knowing when the time is right to actually take the Kovalev fight. So we'll see, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.